hope you're doing fine wherever you are. I'm also okay. Allow me to begin by apologizing for the quality of the video. I'm actually recording on the go, recording from an hotel, so you can imagine. Otherwise, I hope I'm visible enough and the audio is acceptable. You know, a lot has happened, as we told you in the previous video, one of the previous videos that is, that there was no way the courts were going to interfere with the political process. They could only scrutinize if that process followed the law, and Parliament did a good job. They followed due process when removing the former Deputy President, the Honorable Rigathi Gachagua, from office. So far, what we had told you has happened, that after the dispensing of with matters judiciary, the Honorable Professor Abraham Kindiki Kithure has been sworn in as the third Deputy President of the Republic. What I want to address here is the claim that actually Deputy President had been put in place to be impeached later. I want to tell you the contrary, that in my opinion, I believe the Deputy President, Rigathi Gachagua, impeached himself. I intend to explain how. If that is a subject you are interested in, I ask you to kindly stay tuned. And of course, if you are watching for the first time, take a moment, subscribe to this channel so that you don't miss subsequent videos. Without further ado, let us delve into the subject of the day. Like I said, the Deputy President, the Honorable Kindiki Kithure, has been sworn in. But you remember, at the initial stage, Kindiki Kithure was the favorite of the Mount Kenya MPs that Ruto had asked to help him get a leader. But then Ruto settled on Rigathi Gachagua. The question that people ask is, if he wanted Kindiki that badly, why would he settle on Rigathi Gachagua? So this is what the people who say Ruto intended from day one to impeach Rigathi Gachagua are basing their argument on. They are saying Rigathi was never his choice. He picked Rigathi Gachagua, fattened him for slaughter, and got rid of him so that he could eventually have his favorite. That is not how it was. I want you to refer back to when Rigathi Gachagua was unveiled at Karen. Ruto made a very specific statement that so many people assumed, in my opinion. Why do I say so many people assumed this particular statement? The statement was that he and his running mate have agreed to go home together. This is very important, ladies and gentlemen. The president made it clear that they would serve for a 2-term period with this deputy president, who was Rigathi Gachagua then, and that after that they would leave power to those who they would have mentored by that time. And they were very specific. The president was very specific, the likes of Ndini Nyoro. He said, these are the people that we are going to mentor so that when we leave power, we leave it in the hands of those who know how to run the country, who will even run the country better than they would have done. And so, from that particular statement, ladies and gentlemen, the president had planned to work with Rigathi Gachagua for a 2-term. That is what he said. But there was a catch. The catch was Rigathi Gachagua was not to be over-ambitious, meaning he would be ready, he would be one person who would be ready to go home with the president. You see, I agree it sounds unfair considering that Ruto by that time was serving his second term as the deputy president, but also vying to replace the incumbent Uhuru Kenyatta. So he was asking for too much. You can say that he was asking for too much. But Rigathi Gachagua had agreed to that. So when Rigathi got into office, I think what happened, he saw the trappings of power and he decided that he was not going to go with Ruto's deal of serving with him for 2 terms and going home. He started reorganizing himself so that he could even vie by 2027. And so this is why I believe Rigathi Gachagua kicked himself out of the office. There was an agreement between them that we will vie for 2 terms and then go home. We will instead mentor people who are going to take over from us. But that was never to be. Rigathi changed the deal. And so he went to Kikuyus and started inciting them. And this is a very specific statement he made. He said that there are dark days for ahead for the Kikuyu community, that very nasty thing were being planned against that particular community, that he would speak about them when the time was right. You see, when somebody is the deputy president and he consumes the highest intelligence in the country, including international intelligence, and he comes and tells you, members of his community, that the government that you put in place is actually planning very bad things, you will believe him. And that is how he started inciting Kikuyus against Ruto, because he would go and tell them that Ruto, whom they had worked so hard to put in power, was now working with enemies to destroy the Kikuyu community, and that he had even planned very dangerous thing for that particular community. The Kikuyu started seeing Ruto as an enemy. Rigathi was doing this for simple reason, as I shared with you before. He wanted control of Kikuyu so that he can either use them as a bargaining tool or he can use them to launch his candidature, but mostly as a bargaining tool for 2027. Either he would blackmail Ruto and insist that if you don't pick me, you are not getting the Mount Kenya votes, or he would go and negotiate with the likes of Kalonzo or Raila and tell them, I can bring you the Mount Kenya. So he used that to incite the people of Mount Kenya against the President of the Republic. And once he started doing that, that did not tip Ruto off. Ruto believes politics is competitive, and so people will agree to certain things and then change their mind. That was normal, and Ruto was not going to get mad about that. That is how Ruto is smart enough to know what politics is and how politics work. So it's not as if he was really scared that Rigathi had gone out of his way to consolidate Mount Kenya. What tipped the scales against Rigathi Gachagua is when he went ahead and decided now to challenge the policies of the government. Remember, President Ruto came into power with a promise to fix certain things. And as his principal assistant and the deputy, he gave him specific roles to help him with. In fact, Rigathi was the one who was chairing all cabinet subcommittees. Nothing was reaching the cabinet without passing through Rigathi first. And so when you have such a powerful person who is key to the implementation of your policies, decide to now challenge these particular policies, then you have to find a way of letting that person go. And even when Rigathi realized that Ruto did not fancy this new step of opposing government policies, he doubled down. That is now when Rigathi would now go to do a Meet the People tour to explain how he was disagreeing with Ruto, how he was a better president. So technically, ladies and gentlemen, the guy removed himself from office he impeached himself by doing one. First, he went and incited the voting bloc, the Kikuyu voting bloc, against the president. So that forced the president to look for new friends. And those new friends, when they come, then the current, Rigathi was now, the president had to go and now look for new friends. Rigathi forced his hand. Because remember, Mount Kenya was a backbone, was one of the voting baskets that was solidly behind Ruto, that was guaranteeing him a re-election. But Rigathi had gone and had convinced these people of Mount Kenya and made them feel like working with Ruto or voting for Ruto was the worst mistake they ever made. And for that reason, now they decided that they will be teaching Ruto a lesson. Remember, the Mount Kenya people started singing Ruto is a one-term president so long ago, and not just recently, because Rigathi had told them that Ruto was planning very evil things against them. And since he was the highest ranking official from the region and one person who was consuming national intelligence, when he told these people that the president was planning evil things against them, they believed and they started to hate the president. But then the second way this guy removed himself from office is by deciding to oppose government policies openly. Just opposing government policies, inciting the public against universal health care, any other deal that the president would have. Rigathi Gachagua would see what the public is saying, and then he would become a populist by telling people that this is not somebody we should have had. And now the last one is when Rigathi Gachagua, the last thing, was when Rigathi Gachagua now started equating himself with his boss. You see, Rigathi Gachagua not only went and lied to Kikuyus against his boss to incite the public, the Kikuyu masses against the president, he went ahead and started opposing the policies of the same government he was serving in. But that to him was not enough. He now decided to deliberately undermine the President of the Republic by even calling press conference after the President, by telling people how the President is a liar, going everywhere and saying that that President would not have been there if it was not for him, and even making the jest that if the President cannot handle things, he will not advise him what he will do. He would ask the President to quit and let him run the country if the President was not in a position to run the country. So you see, ladies and gentlemen, you find yourself with a leader who is supposed to be your principal assistant, but who has seen you as an equal or somebody that is even inferior to him, somebody he needs to fight. And that is what happened. So Rigathi, step by step, got himself out of office. And I see people blaming his advisors, etc. You see, as a leader, your advisors mostly would, the type of people you surround yourself with would be people that actually speak your voice or speak your language. And so I don't think advisors are to be blamed. I think the Honorable Rigathi Gachagua decided in his own opinion that it was worth fighting Ruto, and actually was convinced that he was going to win. He believed that. Even if you saw how he talked, he was not trying. For him, this was, he's going to take Ruto home no matter what. And so he did that, ladies and gentlemen. In my opinion, we should learn something. Before you start any fight, ask yourself, can I win? But even if you can win, is it worth it? Because in this case, Rigathi was not only unable to win, but it's not worth it. Because now that is a Raia, common Raia, it becomes an easy target. And like I told you, Mount Kenya very soon, the bitterness will die off. They will coalesce around the person in power, especially Kindiki or another person. But Rigathi Gachagua will be in the political oblivion. And remember, he can't vie, he can't be appointed. So he becomes useless politically for the community, for the Mount Kenya community, that is. And the fact that Ruto has also just picked somebody from Mount Kenya dilutes his grievances, because he could have gone and said that, you see, he betrayed us, we supported him, and now he has removed the deputy from Mount Kenya as we agreed and given it elsewhere. The president has ensured that the deputy presidency seat is still in Mount Kenya. In fact, the cabinet is mostly made up of people from Mount Kenya. There are only two Kalenjin in government, in the cabinet, by the way, but you have several, up to 7 people from Mount Kenya region serving in the same cabinet. So the president has maintained that Mount Kenya supported him in 2022, and there is no way he's going to betray them. He was just removing one person who decided that he was no longer interested in helping the president achieve his goal, and so he's been given enough time to go and do whatever it is that he felt he was supposed to do. If you found this video helpful, let me know in the comment section, and also drop a like and share it with friends. Otherwise, let us meet in the next video. I hope the quality was a bit acceptable.